Hi, and welcome back to 10 Questions. I'm Dave Franklin, and with me today is chiropractic Dr. Jared Leon. Jared, how are you today, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to be with you today.
Thank you for your time. Now, you are Chiropractic Plus. Can you explain what the plus is?
Yeah, absolutely. So the plus is I'm also a fellow in vestibular rehab as well as a diplomat in functional neurology. So I'm just looking more at the brain and as well as spine and spinal cord within the practice. That's the biggest difference.
Okay. And what did you have to do to get that? That obviously a couple more days of medical school.
Yeah. So to get that, you're looking at anywhere from 200 to 600 advanced hours of functional neurology after you're done with chiropractic school, and then
Okay,
taking two.
how does that tie in with your practice?
Okay, great question. So for the first 15 years, I did really amazing chiropractic work within the practice. I really focused on like pediatrics and athletes within the practice. And that was like my full thing, wellness families. And then certain areas patients came to you that I didn't understand how to help them. Well, you did what I was taught in chiropractic school, and not every patient had the same resolve. So basically, I said, you know what? Let me look into this functional neurology. My brother's already a functional neurologist doing the same kind of work. It always intrigued me. So that was really what started this journey of going back to school to learn that. And by understanding it, now that it's all done, it just gives you a different perspective and a different scope. So now you're looking at nuclei within brain versus just spine, which is amazing. But it gave me the advance and more the clinical understanding of the know-how to really take patients on a journey from what they think they know to the unknown and then back to the known, giving a much higher result within the practice. So now it gives me the ability to really look at a patient who's suffering from stuff that's going on right now in society, such as like depression and anxiety, fear, worry, negative thinking, and what that does to the brain, how stress is so impactful on this brain, how stress is affecting so much of our body and all the ailments that are currently going on of all of our fellow Americans. Really, it's all affecting your brain. So if I said to you at any given moment, Dave, are you stressed out? You'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty stressed. If I said, hey, Dave, do you know where you feel this stress? Most people are like, yeah, my shoulders, I get a headache, I get a tension thing, my low back. And I would say, interesting. That's a brain stress. So now you think it's not just stress, it's now affecting brain. And since brain controls all things, now you can start to dive in, really looking at the why of how these conditions start.
Okay, so you're saying stress can actually affect your motor functions through the brain?
Perfect. And the answer is, of course, but the answer more specifically is yes, it can. Just think at any moment, if you've ever, just to give one quick metaphor, if you've ever been pulled over by a policeman, you know, if you were driving on the street and the sirens go off behind you, and what you feel like instantly, right? Neither your heart rate starts to feel instantly rev up, your stomach starts to increase or feel weird, you get those butterflies, you might start having pains. And even after the police officer leaves, if you got a ticket or not, you're still feeling all those symptoms. So if that manifests for days with that kind of stress within a human body, your brain can't perceive to send proper signaling down to heal your motor system. So you're going to have a much higher probability of having musculoskeletal complaints, beyond visceral complaints or organic dysfunction. You're going to have a dramatic increase in pains throughout the body. More importantly, the stress, what it's going to do on a neurochemical piece, it's going to reduce your serotonin, your dopamine, what's going on in America right now.
Mhm.
So when that occurs and that dampens, serotonin is a huge modulator, not only in your mood, but to dampen pain. So it's a really interesting coefficient of how these systems rise. And then you get an increase in stress hormones. And the more stress hormones, like a simple balance beam. If you get too much stress hormone on one side, you get serotonin, dopamine reducing on the other. So you're always fighting this game. And I think most of us right now are sadly losing because of the current world and the amount of stress environmentally we're dealing with per second.
Okay, what do you think is worse? Is it the virus itself or the surrounding stress as a result of quarantines and not working and and the like?
An amazing question. So without getting very controversial at this point, I would say in the very beginning, I would say the virus was the key. Okay. You had to take care of it just like on TV. You had to mitigate the symptomatology. You had to try to flatten that curve they spoke about every second of every day. Now that that has been achieved, I would say the absolute paramount concept is the environmental stress that the humans are under. We are locked in our homes for most part, especially being a New Yorker. My cat just jumped in the background. Sorry.
I
Sorry.
locked mine out,
So,
otherwise they'd be fighting.
so, um, so back to what I was saying. Sorry about that. So if you think of it, we're being trapped in our house, where neither you are happily, hopefully happily in love with your family. So you're having an amazing bonding experience. But for most Americans in New York specifically, that may not be true. Your kids are not going to school. I think the impact on that psychologically is massive. No sports for children at this point, I think, is massive. And we don't even know what that's going to do to their futures yet. The school system, what happens to the education? What happens when your child's brain is not being stimulated on a given day? And as most of us as parents, I have 2 children in the home, as being a parent, you're thinking, what do I do with these children all day? Is this a cohesive relationship of what we wanted? Am I being forced to do this? And then you have this global piece that I can't go where I want to go. You have the social distancing, which I'm not saying good or bad. It's there. Every human is walking around with a mask, except for us right now, right? We're good. But the answer is, how is that affecting humans? Are you feeling happier? I'm going to say probably not. Are you feeling healthier? I'm going to say probably not. I'm going to say, is your eating under control? Probably not. Are you having better nutrition? As we said, probably not. Are you taking more supplements than ever before? Maybe, maybe not. So I truly believe, without going into 2 hours of just the science of this, I truly believe that our environment is affecting our health more than we can ever impact. And the economy piece is the ultimate, of course, to add to. If you always say, what's the easiest way to get into any fight with any family loved one? It's either money or the way we raise our children, or on health specifically. Those are like the 3 most basic reasons why couples fight. So if you think of that, just that alone, the economic impact with the social impact, it's dramatic on your physiology. So I'll stop there, and sorry, Dave, go
That's
ahead,
okay.
continue.
No, that's just to further what you were saying. Doing some studies, domestic violence is up 40% now that everybody's quarantined. Child abuse is up. Depression is up. Drug use, alcohol use, things like that. So
which,
when you
which they
look at
made
the
essential,
numbers,
by
and
the
it's
way.
just, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor. When you look at the numbers of the effect of the virus, that it's affected less than 1/10 of 1% of the population in America. I think it was a little overblown, but I think, as you said, the stress factors are more dangerous than the virus itself, and that's just my opinion.
Not only would I agree, but I would agree with all my knowledge as well. But let's just tap into one other thing real fast. So what you just said was really brilliant. So what people is dealing with on a consistent level with this is really the unknown, right? What is going on? So if we really know with current statistics that, especially in that Stanford study that had come out recently, but there's everywhere now, that less than, we'll say 99.6 is the last statistic I read, as far as you have a 99.6 survival rate if you got this virus.
Hmm.
And that means, think of that mathematically. If we had a question to ask you right now, in last school year, if we know at any given time, which was a rough flu season, if half of a school of children, right, we'll say any age children, half of them had the flu last year and was out of school, teachers didn't stop teaching. The parents didn't stop sending the other children to school. So if we just think of the logical piece to this, if zero point 0.4 have a fatality rate, and I don't know, I know one person that had COVID officially. And I know a lot of people, okay? I know maybe 2, if you really want to say, and we don't even know if it was a true diagnosis of COVID. Think how many people had the flu last year or this year, and yet they never, ever, in our dream, could never have thought of closing schools down, let alone keeping everyone inside. And we truly believe that if germs, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but if we know that germs naturally are all over us, viruses and bacteria, we live in a community with them every second of every day. What is the impact of cleaning everything dramatically if we take down all the natural bacteria of our hands? If we can't touch our face, which is a good thing right now, of course, but people do it all day, you're still getting that bacteria and viruses all over us, and we work as a community with them symbiotically to keep us naturally healthy. See, the human body has to experience some of these natural bacteria and viruses so that we grow our own immune system,
Hmm.
right? Brain sending immune down so we can do that to further protect us for the future. So I think the impact of that alone, we don't even know what's going to happen, let alone what this virus was. It's going to be able to mutate because it's not doing what it needs to do naturally, if it was natural to start with. So
Okay, we were getting waxing a little more philosophically. Getting back to your practice,
thank
what's
you.
what's what's the average patient like for you? Do you
Okay,
see a lot of athletes? Do you see a lot of regular people? What's your
good question.
clientele like?
So I'm very blessed to take care of mostly family centered. Okay.
Okay.
So I like to look at it like I love to say I treat mostly the spine and nervous system, and whoever walks in the practice, I love to see. But if we were going to put those in summaries, it would mostly be young families, young. I usually like pregnancy,
Hmm.
work pregnancy into the neonate, into the baby stage, into that toddler level, when a lot of neurological things can happen that you don't think of. And I don't mean symptoms. To that young now family has been with me. Now they get into sports, and now I'm working with the children for really wellness. Okay, at this point, into more of the real diverse depression, anxiety. I see a ton of vertigo lately, a lot of vertigo within tons of anxiety. And again, I don't treat symptoms, I don't treat conditions, just in case it's out there. Remember, as a chiropractor, we can't say any of that. I do not do that. So what we do is really treat the spine and nervous system. But when people fall in, of course, musculoskeletal, tons of joint issues. I see tons of high-level athletes, weekend warriors. So
Hmm.
really everyone walks into this practice, because if you have a brain and it's not optimized, I would love to check you in the practice and make you even feel better. But that's pretty much the summation of what I've been seeing lately. And
Okay.
last thing I think lately, tons of headaches and migraines, more than I've ever seen, based off, again, the stress of what we stated.
Okay. Now, is that stress related? Is that lack of activity as well? That the body's more sedentary? We're all putting on the quarantine 15 in the middle.
I've been saying it's the Corona 30. So you're saying
Okay.
15.
Oh, well, yeah. Good. I was being kind. I
Yeah,
try not to exhale. So
it's it's the freshman 15. Remember, it's the Corona 30. So we're okay. But the
okay.
truth is,
Okay.
all of that
Um,
matters.
how
All of that matters.
how
Yes.
has this affected your practice? How has the virus?
Of course. So of course it's affected us, since we are essential and we're very blessed to be essential, but the guidelines and what they say is truly essential is really, you're supposed to come to us if you're avoiding the hospital. And if you understand, and I can't go into philosophy, into the political aspect bureaucratically, if we work on the brain and spinal cord, and that controls the immune system, and as a side effect of getting that correction within the practice, your immune system goes up, that's a side effect, okay? But I can't say we treat that within the practice. But has that been affected when people can't come to my practice? Yes. Most people, I can't advertise that we're really open, because I don't think it's the right time to say, come on in, because I have to do social distancing. We've had to slow my level dramatically. We've had to take half the chairs out of my practice. We had to follow every level of CDC. So we're cleaning more than ever. And honestly, I'm not anti that. I think that's a great thing, just just to what we're speaking of it, but it's slowed us down a ton. So the answer is, I'm seeing dramatically less people, probably in the relation of like 30%. I'm not working my normal hours. And the reality is, a lot of people are feared and they don't want to leave. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be feared, but this is long enough now. I think, to be fair, you see, I'm outside. I'm outside every second of every day. But the answer is, it's really impacting my practice. And more importantly, it's going to have a negative impact on the community, because they can't get in to get checkups.
Yeah, well, you see that more and more now. You saw it up so the headline in today's Post saying, "Please open up." You have a lot more revolts. I see people outside that are protesting. Time to open up the state, and
Absolutely.
obviously it's up to where the governors and what they see happening in their states. But I agree with you that this is it's time.
It's beyond time. And when would be the right time? It's almost like looking back in life. It's a fun metaphor, but you're a young kid and you're like, when am I going to get married? And you're like, I don't know, 20, 25, 30. When's the right time? It's just, you go with your innate wisdom. Like, what is
Hmm.
this time? Am I truly in love? Is this the right moment? There's never going to be a time to open. This is not one of those things based off the current media. If you literally don't have your head in the sand, they're not just going to say today is the day to open. They're
Hmm.
not going to do it. And they're going to do all these progressions, and it's going to be slow down, in my thought, and I hate saying this, into fall. And then fall, we know, is natural flu season as it kicks back in. So I think we have to open. Economically, the amount of financial stress that people over, if you got that PPP, just think of it, and you got 2 months to pay your staff. We're on month 3 now, almost month 4. How are you going to survive as a small business owner if you can't open? So all the small businesses, who clarifies you as essential versus not, right? So there's so many variations to it. So I think you have to get back to work. And I don't want to jump over the borders, but the reality is, we are designed as a community to work and free trade. And I like to make money and then give you my money as a local owner. I don't want to always go to these monster stores and have to wear a mask and look like, I can't believe I'm living in a freedom of choice America. I believe we should have the choice, because if you're naturally sick, I'm going to say you're smart enough, Dave. Of course you are. You're going to stay home and rest. And
Right.
if you're not sick, you're not going to go outside. Or you might go outside, but now you have a choice. I believe in a choice. I believe America is freedom and we should have freedom.
I couldn't agree with you more on that. It's all about choice. It's all about personal freedom. I do
Correct.
agree with that. And you would think that a lot of the population is smart enough, or hopefully has common sense. Although we both know common sense is not all that common these days. That, as you said, if you think that you are a high risk, stay home.
100%.
Continue to quarantine. If you've had it already, you can go out. You have nothing to lose. Nothing can hurt you. And
And if
that's
we go
that's
back to last winter, if you felt like you were getting sick, did you go outside? I mean, seriously, it was
no, I
cold.
didn't. I didn't want to get off the couch.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's like your brain told you that. If you had a really bad fever, you can go like this. I don't have to get tested walking into a store. You're like, dude, I don't feel good. I'm going to stay home. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. It's just
But
logical. That's common sense, right? And fever, by the way, is a natural healing progression, right?
mhm,
Fever is our natural body's defense to push us up, to raise our temperature, to kill what's out there or within us. Okay.
mhm. Any comments on for the people that are stuck at home on how to stay healthy, how to stay limber?
Absolutely. Okay, so I'll give you, there's a lot of this, but there are 5 basic things to stay healthy in life, okay, that you really need. I call them the 5 pillars of health. Number 1, proper working nervous system, okay? So that one you can't really do at home. I advise every one of you to go between now or after this pandemic to go get a spinal checkup from a chiropractor, go to a functional neurologist, get a checkup to just see, does your spine and nervous system work free flowing to communicate with every cell, tissue, and organ? Number 1. Number 2, proper nutrition. If you think that it's not at all live and hasn't been live food in a long period of time, it's probably not something that's going to energize your brain at this point. So just think it. If it's lived in a box for a long period of time, don't eat it every day. Okay, so we want to eat clean. Number 3, you need a proper rest and relaxation. I think all of us currently have that. Okay, you've been staying home more than ever. I think you're resting now. So we got that one. The 4th piece is proper exercise. So that is huge, right? You got to do something. It's a nice day outside. Every nice day, get outside and go for a walk. If you got an animal, grab it and go for a walk. If you have a kid, go for a walk. If you have a wife, go, or a husband, whatever, go for a walk. Get outside. Get vitamin D. It's huge for you. Last one, keep your mind pure. Proper mental attitude is huge. I mean, paramount in healing within the body. And if you think of it, by living in fear, the first thing we do when we have fear is we're paralyzed. And it's a natural instinct by the human brain. So the first thing when you're scared, you're going to do is you're going to hide back. You're going to go introverted and stay fearful. That is not the way to heal. That stimulates the whole stress response right off the jump. And now it's living in a chronic low-level stress every day. You're increasing your own risk of every disease state in America. So we don't want that. So you combine those 5 things into the 5 pillars and you optimize your healing. Beyond that, of course, vitamin supplementation, basics. I won't say anything crazy. Vitamin C, D, zinc, huge. I won't get into more right now because I can go into a lot, but we'll stick to those 3 and a probiotic, okay? Keep it simple. Beyond that, keep the relationship at home very useful. Make sure if you're fighting, walk away, man. You can't stay in a relationship that's fighting right now. Take a moment, get some privacy. You need your own balance within life. So I think it's all about balance. You got to balance yourself, your marital status, your children, your work, and yourself again. Like yourself is the key to keep yourself balanced. So that would be my quick suggestions. There's a lot of other things I do on my website. I host a lot of videos about other ideas in much more depth, as well as YouTube. All right, Dave.
Okay. Now time for your shameless plug. Why don't you tell us what the website is, or how
Thank
people can access it?
Sure. It's Leon, Leon, my last name, chiropractic.com. So it's leonchiropractic.com. It's also same on Facebook. We try to post videos regularly on top level of healing. On YouTube, you can find me, Leon Chiropractic, as well. If you have specific questions, I would love to answer them. I will give you my personal email. It's Dr. Jared, Jared, my first name, the number 5 at gmail.com. I will get right back to you. It's the first time in a long time I'm actually checking my email. So the answer is I will answer any question. If you want to call the office and ask me specifically, 631-689-1000. That's it.
Excellent. And you're based in Stony Brook?
I am in Stony Brook, correct.
Okay. I thank you for your time. This has been a fascinating discussion. I
Dave,
appreciate you making the time for me.
you're amazing. I appreciate you. Thank you so much and be well.
Thank you. You too. Be well.
Bye-bye.